Communication begins right from the time that a baby is born into this world. Babies will cry to let us know that when they are hungry or exhausted. Babies would laugh out loud when adults show a silly face. All these are different forms of communication even when the words are not there. When it comes to speech and language development, the ages of 0 to 3 years are very critical. And delays are frequently seen at this time when kids do not meet the regular developmental milestones predicted for their age. A quick internet search can quickly reveal a potential case of autism spectrum disorder when parents and caregivers think or observe the child struggling to meet communicative milestones. There are a lot of reasons for speech and language delays, and sometimes it is hard to determine any sort of underlying cause. However, it is important not to jump to conclusions. While speech delays, language delays, and learning differences are common among children with autism, just because children experience stumbles in their development doesn't mean they have autism. So in this video, we'll be discussing the key differences between communication delays caused by autism and those caused by the speech-language disorders, as well as how to help your child receive the care and support they need. Hey there, welcome back to my social media platform, The Happy SLP. For those of you who are meeting me for the first time, my name is Hannah Elza Abraham and I'm an audiologist and a speech-language pathologist from India. I create videos to raise public awareness about speech, language, hearing and swallowing issue. So let's move back. First, let us talk about the difference between speech and language delays. So there are important differences that every parent should be aware of, even though they have many similarities and are frequently used interchangeably. Speech is the process through which kids express their needs, wants and desires through the sounds and words. For instance, they might still have difficulty pronouncing certain consonants like r, s or l that other kids have already mastered, making them more difficult to understand and making their speech appear less mature. On the other hand, though children frequently pronounce sounds and words correctly, but they are unable to combine these sounds and words into meaningful phrases or sentences. So this is a state of expressive language delay, a delay in expressing the language they have. Additionally, a child's capacity to comprehend what others are saying can be impacted by receptive language delay. They frequently experience difficulty processing information, picking up new vocabulary, and understanding both spoken and written language. Children who struggle with communication still develop at the same rate as their peers, but they frequently move more slowly and take longer to meet developmental milestones. A toddler who is a late talker, probably between 18 to 30 months of age, has a limited spoken vocabulary for his or her age, but a strong understanding of language and is also normally developing play skills, motor skills, singing abilities, and social skills. Children who are late talkers may struggle with spoken or expressive language. These kids can be particularly confusing because they possess all the components of spoken language but don't talk much or talk very little. There is still no agreement among researchers regarding why this particular delay occurs. They have found, however, that males and those who were born at less than 85% of their ideal birth weight or at less than 37 weeks gestation are more likely to be late talkers and to have a family history of early language delay. Additionally, it has been found that roughly 13% of 2-year-olds talk slowly. So these kids are still extremely motivated by social reactions and they enjoy being held, hugged and touched by their parents. They enjoy being the center of others' attention and they imitate the behavior of others around them. So when left alone, they may grow bored, upset or lonely. So in other words, even if a child has a delay in speech or language development, they are still highly social creatures. So one of the defining characteristics of autism can be a difficulty to establish meaningful social relationships or a lack of social communication. So let us now examine autism in more detail. Autism is a neurological difference where people act, learn, think and often communicate differently. Autism is not wrong, antisocial or intellectually inferior. Additionally, it differs for each individual. There is not a one-size-fits-all characteristic that can be used to categorize people with autism. Children with autism can develop into successful, happy adults. Language issues, social differences, sensory differences, and repetitive behavior are some of the traits associated with autism. Next, I'll be discussing characteristics that can be used to identify a child with autism, but not every child who demonstrates these characteristics has autism. Language delays and autism. Both children with autism and children without autism commonly encounter language delays. However, there are very significant distinctions between the two, and being aware of different language delays will help you to determine whether they are connected to autism. Children with autism frequently take pleasure in being left to follow their own interest. So, in general, they rarely imitate others' behavior and are generally more interested in things than people. Additionally, they could struggle to recognize and interpret nonverbal cues like smiling, waving, or changing their facial expressions. Additionally, when they are not understood, children with autism may not act frustrated unless it is for a particular desired thing. People might instead just give up and resume what they were doing. So many kids will also self-stimulate by gazing at lights or mouthing objects. So they also choose repetitive actions like lining up vehicles on a shelf at eye level and watching the wheels go back and forth. They might not speak at all or speak very little for their age, and they would struggle to start or maintain a conversation. One of the other characteristics of children with autism is their inability or delay to respond when their name is called or other efforts are made to get their attention. They may resort to actions like temper tantrums to communicate because they struggle to convey their needs and wants to the adults. Instead of answering a question, they may simply repeat it, and they might have inability to put words together to form intelligible phrases or sentences. Some of the children with autism may repeat words or phrases that they just heard or they heard days or weeks earlier. Sometimes it might be a phrase from their favorite show and would simply utter. It is not necessarily to be in a meaningful context, and this is a state that we call as echolalia. The voice would be a robotic speaking voice that lacks inflection or intonation. Some children with autism may be able to read but have difficulty comprehending the words. In contrast to a speech and language delay, several additional indicators of autism include obsessively naming things rather than asking or making comments. They may have a lack of awareness of others and appearing to gaze through others. They may demonstrate atypical responses to sensory inputs, such as increased sensitivity to hearing or intolerance to specific textures, may exhibit peculiar or repetitive movements of the hands and fingers, such as hand flapping, and some may also show difficulty in taking turns and lack of enthusiasm for playing with family or friends. So keep in mind that autism is a complex developmental condition that affects every child differently. So there's a common saying, if you have met one child with autism, you have met one child with autism. So what should a parent or caregiver do if they notice some of these signs in their child? The first step would be to discuss your child's behavior with a developmental pediatrician or a pediatric neurologist. In many cases, you may receive a referral to a certified speech-language pathologist who plays a key role in your child's individualized treatment plan. So if you think your child may be a late talker, it's never too early to seek help. We know that earlier we start to help the children, the better their outcomes. So early intervention with speech therapy is key to helping any child with speech or language disorder regardless of their diagnosis. Clinical research has consistently indicated that early intervention is crucial to helping a child catch up to their peers and better express themselves. So I believe I was able to provide you with some information, and that's the whole point of this video. In my next video, I'll be back with more tips to improve your child's speech and language skills. So if you think this video was helpful, leave a like. That will help my channel tremendously. And if you want to continue to learn more about the related content, feel free to check out the playlist or check out the videos up there. Furthermore, consider subscribing so that you will not miss future videos. You can always contact me, the Happy SLP, either via comments or through my social media accounts, Facebook or Instagram, regarding your concerns and queries regarding speech, language, hearing and swallowing issues. The links are given below in the description, and I will try my best to help you. So until we meet again in another video, stay happy and much love. Hannah, the Happy SLP.